It's time for Mama Bear Donita on the Mama Bear Cancer Support Radio podcast. Welcome to the Sharing Den, where we share cancer stories, products, and information to support anyone going through the journey. We will be there for you. We will be there with you. Now, welcome Mama Bear Donita.
Hi, this is Mama Bear Donita, and you're listening to the Mama Bear Cancer Support Radio podcast on Society Bites Radio, part of the Radio Ear Network family. My podcasts are also available on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Miami Community Radio, Fort Lauderdale Community Radio, and the SOB Network. And today I want to welcome Kristi. Kristi is a 45-year-old married mother of two that is a two-time breast cancer survivor. Whoop, whoop. And she chooses to use laughter and love to flip the negative prognosis to a positive one in order to fight her stage 4 cancer. Welcome, Kristi.
Hi.
I'm so glad to have you on. So you are a two-time cancer survivor, breast cancer survivor. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you and I met through Kim Becker and the Hello Gorgeous show that's also on Society Bites podcast. And she introduced us. A lot of time we have similar guests because we both do. She does Hello Gorgeous for people going through cancer and needing a makeover. And I deal mostly with survivors and what to do with their life afterwards. So anyway, I just wanted to let the listeners know how we knew each other. And in case they had heard you before on Kim's show, they can hear you again now. So I always like to say that. But what is it that makes your cancer unique to other breast cancers?
Well, I have two different types of breast cancer. So one of mine is triple negative and the other is HER2 positive. So it's very unique to have two different types of breast cancer in one body. So the way we treat one doesn't work for the other. I also am unique in my breast cancers because I have two gene mutations that cause my breast cancers. And one's an ATM and the other is a BRCA2. And with that, it's very unique to have that because there's only a 1% of the entire population that has two mutations. So it's been kind of a journey trying to figure out what exactly was causing all of my breast cancers as well.
When you went through triple negative, do you still have triple negative?
I still do. What happened was in September 2013, we discovered my first breast cancer, which was HER2 positive. And the HER2 positive one had spread to my bone, and we started treatment at that time. I did a PET scan from the very beginning, which is kind of unusual, but I demanded it because of my family history. And we thought that I was just, that anything I would have moving forward would be the same type of cancer, just spread. We just thought it was metastasized, but we didn't think there would be a different type. Well, in October of 2016, I then discovered that I went in and I was having all kinds of, just some health problems. And I went in one night and went to the ER. And at that point, we did a PET scan again, and it determined that I had lymph node involvement with 19 lymph nodes were infected by this other cancer. And at that point in time, we started treatment, and I had already had genetic testing once, but I did a panel of 6 because normally people do not have more than one mutation. So when we found the first mutation, we thought, oh, okay, that's it. And then we discovered that some other people in my family had different types of mutations. So we went in and did another genetic testing, and that's when we discovered the ATM mutation. So then we found out, then we tested the tumor and discovered that it was triple negative.
So did you do the triple negative? I also had triple negative. Did you do the triple negative treatment plan? Or
No, that's what was very difficult is we had to we had to go out on kind of on a search to figure out what type of treatment plan to do because we didn't want, we were doing pretty well controlling the HER2 positive one. So we didn't want to do anything that would stop, stop that from working. So what I did was with the HER2 positive one, I did chemotherapy, and then I had surgery, a double mastectomy, chemotherapy, and then radiation. And 6 weeks of radiation. And then for the ATM, I did chemotherapy and surgery to remove the nodes. And then I had chemotherapy, radiation, and the surgery for that one.
So, because it's my understanding, and I'm not an oncologist, but myself having triple negative, my treatments were the TAC treatments. And this was over 10 years ago. So they did them all together. I know they break them up now, but
yeah, they broke them up.
Yeah. And so for the listeners who don't maybe understand some of this, the HER positive is the treatment is, there's hormone issues with that. With triple negative, what makes it triple negative is there is no hormone. So how you would treat that would be completely different in two different arenas. You can't, it's like, this is a unique situation in that one body is hosting two completely different cancers, specifically breast. So I just wanted to clear that up because you and I speak from a place of knowing, but if you don't know that, they wouldn't understand why this makes it so unusual for you. And so they're keeping, so you did the surgery, you did chemo and radiation for both of them.
Yes, I did chemo and radiation for both of them. And one of the things that we were concerned with as I started with the ATM, there's always a risk when you do any form of radiation. So one of our concerns is this, with the ATM mutation, is it going to make the cancer worse? Am I going to have different types of side effects? Because that's just one of the risk factors. Well, by the time I discovered that I had the ATM mutation, I was already 2 weeks into the radiation. So for me, it was, well, I don't know. We were in a world of we just don't know, and so we were trying and going places and trying to figure out what to do. Not necessarily for me, but I have 2 children that I would rather be a guinea pig than leave them with any unturned stones.
Sure, of course. And so just describe ways that you've flipped the negative to a positive in your cancer world.
Well, what was really great was I have a huge support system. And I think that is absolutely the most important thing for anyone is just allowing people to come in and help you during your hard time. And for me, originally, I was the one that's always been the one to help others. That was kind of my role. That's who I thought I was. And it was really not easy for me to become a patient. So one of the things I had to look at was allow my friends to come in and give me ideas but still keep who I am as a person. I'm a fun-loving, happy-go-lucky person. I wanted to stay that. I didn't want to become anything besides, I didn't want my legacy to be anything besides happy. So, but it was a struggle to try to figure out how do you do that. So I started my treatment and I was scared. I was not in the know at the time. I did not know what was happening, really. I didn't really understand it. I came from a world where I was a teacher, and I didn't know anything about nursing or health. And so I kind of just put my chin up and I started through. Well, then little things started happening. My friends saw that I was losing my spirit, and so they had a party for me to kind of ease my worries. And I was off work at the time, and they had a party with about 1,000 people. And it was so great. We had a band. We had the local Noodles and Company came and provided all the food free of cost. We had a band there. We had auction items. We had all kinds of just really fun things. And a friend of mine who I've been friends since I've been a little kid. His name was Jeff White. He came in and he just coordinated it all, let us use his hall, and he really kind of took the lead on that. He too had a mom who had recently just passed from cancer, so he knew kind of what I was going through, and was just a really good friend. And so everyone started chipping in all around the community, and they weren't just helping me, but they were helping my husband, they were helping my kids, and just to kind of keep us fighting, keep us energized. Then I had a great group of friends that would go with me to my chemo treatments. And we would walk in there, and it was really, chemo is not something like, oh yeah, that's in my bucket list. I really want to do that. I mean, it's just not the real world. And so I'm like, I had to make that place somewhere that I wanted to go instead of having to go. And so when I went in there, it was just really sad because there was lots of people that they didn't have anyone next to them. I was blessed to have a big group, but they didn't have anyone and they needed someone. And so my friends and I decided that we were going to start going every week in costume, and we were going to bring treats for everybody that was already there. And then our role was going to be not just sit next to me, but sit next to everyone and make sure that nobody is alone. So that's what we started doing. And we made some really great friends. I'm still, a couple of them are still alive, and I'm still friends with them that are in treatment now. They continue to be in treatment. And it formed a very good friendship from the sense of that is, that's one thing that we all had in common is this is a tough time and let's be there for each other. And so we started handing out cookies and playing games and having little prizes. And then it even got bigger because the local Beef O'Brady's, we did a fundraiser here in town, and we used all the money raised to pay the co-pays of some of these people. Because really, I mean, when you went in there, you've had people that have been working their entire life doing good things. You had police officers, you had attorneys, you had doctors, you had all kinds of teachers, you had all kinds of great people. And, they were struggling at this point. So we decided on Valentine's Day that we were going to make it be, when they showed up for their treatment that day, we were going to surprise them with their free copay. And we paid all their copays. The great part of that was they had no idea who was doing this. So when they walked into the chemo room, they didn't know who it was that was being nice to them that day. They just thought somebody in this room loved me enough to pay my copay today. And that's the way we wanted it to be. We didn't want anyone saying, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you to us. We wanted to look around and just wonder, could it have been? Was it? And be curious on who was it that was their angel that day. So we started doing just random acts and things like that. The fun part too was when we would go into with costumes, we would each week was a different theme, and the wilder the better. So our goal was to just make people laugh. And we're pretty good at that. We're little jokesters. So we used our chemo bars as a stripper bar. And I couldn't think of a polite way to say that. But we would dance at our bars. We would, take pictures. We would just be extremely silly to the point where you could look at that room and think, are those people really having chemo? Because they don't act like it. And just trying to keep our chin up. now then that treatment ended, and so I wanted that feeling though to keep going, because once